And at number 9, Lucas Till. Taylor and Lucas Till started dating after he starred in her music video called You Belong With Me. But their young love did not last. They dated for only 1 month in 2009, but it still got a ton of press. When asked why it didn't work for them, Lucas explained that there was not enough friction in the relationship for it to last. He added, quote, "We just really both liked each other, but most relationships work out because you get along, then you don't, then you make up and it's passionate. And with us, I just really liked her as a friend." And at number 8, Taylor Lautner. This relationship was another that did not last for too long, but it did create one of the strangest couple names in history, Taylor Squared. They were together from August to December of 2009, and they met on the set of the movie Valentine's Day, where they acted alongside each other. The pair played love interests, which clearly got sparks flying. A source revealed that after a few months of dating, they both realized that they weren't compatible for the long term. The sad song Back to December off Taylor's Speak Now album is reportedly about Lautner. In the song, she sings about regret for the way that things ended.
At number 7, Janet Jackson and Matthew McConaughey. Alright, we've got another surprising celebrity hookup, this one including the man, the myth, the legend, Matthew McConaughey, and the amazing queen herself, Janet Jackson. Now, I had no idea that these two used to be an item, but it turns out that they were, but only for a very brief moment. These two decided to give their love a try back in the early 2000s, but they weren't compatible at all, and they only lasted about 1 date before pulling the plug on whatever fling was going on between them. The pair met back in February 2002 at the Grammy Awards and reportedly hit it off after that first encounter. They went on a date shortly afterwards, but as Matthew would later admit years later, things just fizzled out after that 1 date. They decided that they would just be friends, and that's where they left things. Both went on to have other relationships and never looked back, but it still makes for a very interesting secret celebrity hookup. At number 6, Cord Overstreet and Emma Watson. Now, there's not much information on this relationship because it was kept so private, but there's word that Cord Overstreet and Emma Watson were an item for a little while back in 2018. In early 2018, it was rumored that Cord and Emma were seeing each other, but when this news broke, their relationship was still fairly new and there wasn't much to say about it other than rumors and speculation. They were first spotted together at a concert in February of 2018, and then later at an Oscars viewing party the following month. Not long after the news of their apparent relationship broke, they were seen again holding hands, and this sort of sealed the deal for most people, though again, nothing was really confirmed. But then things seem to have just fizzled out and died as the reports came out saying that the two had broken up after 6 months of dating. Less than a month after that, they were seen together again, and there was speculation that they had gotten back together, but again, nothing was ever confirmed. Emma is known to try and keep her private life private, so that could be the reason why this relationship mostly flew under the radar, but it's still something surprising to note.
And at number 3, Calvin Harris. This relationship was easily the most scandalous. After this pair broke up, they actually got into a public feud. The couple dated from March of 2015 to June of 2016 and were introduced by their mutual friend Ellie Goulding. The relationship looked very positive and lasted over a year, but they broke up shortly after their 1-year anniversary. Their split seemed to be amicable at first, but then Taylor was seen kissing Tom Hiddleston only 2 weeks after the split. Apparently, Harris felt blindsided and took his anger out on Twitter. Harris tweeted that Taylor's team was trying to make him look bad when she exposed that she co-wrote the song This Is What You Came For Calvin Harris and Rihanna. Then he tweeted that Taylor was trying to, quote, bury him like Katie, alluding towards Taylor's feud with Katy Perry. He eventually opened up about his social media rant, saying that he, quote, just snapped. And at number 2, Tom Hiddleston. These two started their relationship almost immediately after Taylor split with Calvin Harris. They dated from June to September of 2016. The pair even made their relationship official in the public's eye when they attended the 2016 Met Gala together, which was a huge step for Taylor. Although rumors of cheating swirled around the couple, considering they started dating so soon after her and Calvin Harris split up. Their whirlwind PDA-filled romance took them all over the globe, with stops in Italy, Tennessee, Rhode Island, New York City, Australia, and England. But of course, their summer romance would end pretty quickly. A source revealed that apparently Tom wanted their relationship to be even more public, while Taylor wanted to keep it more low-key. Tom later addressed if the relationship was all for show in a GQ interview, where he said, quote, of course it was real. Taylor is an amazing woman. She's generous and kind and lovely, and we had the best time. And finally, number 1, Joe Alwyn. Taylor's current relationship is her longest, and many think this is the man that Taylor is going to marry. We're not sure when exactly Joe and Taylor started dating, because she went pretty much radio silent on social media after her split with Tom. but many think they got together near the end of 2016. At this time, Taylor was caught in a public feud with Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, but other than that she was nowhere to be seen, online or out in the world by paparazzi. But even though she was laying low, her dating life was in full swing. News broke in May of 2017 that Taylor was dating English actor Joe Alwyn, and they'd been seeing each other for months. And it's clear that things are very serious. Joe was briefly in Taylor's documentary Miss Americana, where she spoke of how he helps her with her writing. Then during her Grammy acceptance speech said, quote, "To Joe, who's the first person that I play every single song that I write, and I had the best time writing songs with you in quarantine." Based on some song lyrics, fans have even speculated the two might be engaged, but neither person has confirmed it. A source said about the couple, quote, "They've been continuing to be pretty low-key about their relationship to the outside world to continue to protect it. They've discussed future plans and Taylor can see herself marrying Joe one day."
At number 8, Phoebe Dynevor. Remember Bridgerton? That show had us pretty enamored when it was first released. The love story that unfolded had a lot of us wishing for that kind of fairy tale romance, but it seems as though one of the show's actresses had a real life romance of her own, even if it was relatively short-lived. Actress Phoebe Dynevor, who played Daphne Bridgerton on the Netflix series, was reportedly in a relationship with Pete Davidson earlier this year, though it has since ended. Rumors of their budding romance started swirling in March of this year after Pete flew from the US to the UK to go spend time with her. For a while, their relationship was labeled as, quote, "not too serious," but it was also suggested that there were still some strong feelings there because of how Pete was following Phoebe to different locations around the UK as she was filming. By mid-April, Pete seemed to have confirmed that he and Phoebe were an item during a Zoom call with students from Marquette University when he was asked who his celebrity crush was, and he responded saying, quote, "I'm with my celebrity crush, that's all I can speak on," end quote. Things didn't really last much longer between Pete and Phoebe though, as sources confirmed that the pair had broken up in August, and it's been said that the long distance is what ended things. At number 7, Macaulay Culkin and Mila Kunis. Did you know about Macaulay Culkin and Mila Kunis' nearly decade-long relationship? Because apparently not very many people were aware that these two dated. The pair dated for about 8 years, spanning from 2002 to 2011, before finally calling it quits. Mila said that she and Macaulay sort of grew up together because they got together when they were pretty young. Mila was 18 and Macaulay was 21, spending their early adulthood together. Apparently, their relationship first started out as a long-distance relationship, as Mila was working on That 70s Show in California while Macaulay was living in New York. When they broke up, there was speculation that cheating was involved, since it was rumored that the split was not amicable and took a heavy toll on Macaulay. It was alleged that Mila cheated on Macaulay with her 70s Show co-star Ashton Kutcher, but regardless of the rumors, the two remain on bad terms and are reportedly no longer friends after their messy split. Both Macaulay and Mila have moved on with other partners, so maybe now it's all water under the bridge. At number 6, Megan Fox and Robert Pattinson. In part 1 of this series, I talked about how Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox had a secret fling, but apparently Megan reportedly had another secret hookup with fellow Hollywood star Robert Pattinson. According to someone who worked with Megan on the set of the film Jennifer's Body in 2009, Megan reportedly hooked up with Robert one night. The source also claimed that, quote, "Megan was totally into Rob and thought he was really cute, but nothing went further than that one night they were together. He totally blew her off." Both Megan and Robert shut down these rumors, but maybe there really was something between them one night. We may never really know for sure. At number 5, Amy Poehler and John Stamos. Back in 2014, actress and comedian Amy Poehler dished about her experience getting back into the dating pool after she separated from her husband Will Arnett. She told Howard Stern in an interview about how things were a little confusing getting back into dating, and how she once had gone out with none other than Uncle Jesse himself, John Stamos. Amy told Howard how she and John had worked on a film together, and that at some point during the time they were working together, John had asked Amy to go to dinner. Apparently there was some confusion around that because Amy told Howard during her interview that she didn't think that her dinner with John was really a date and that she was all confused about it all. But later on, a few months later, after Amy's interview, John was asked about this date confusion and he said that the dinner was in fact a date. Basically, there was a lot of confusion and uncertainty and no doubt a little bit of awkwardness as well. At number 4, Ashley Olsen and Lance Armstrong. Here's a juicy little story about forbidden love. Well, not really, but it's a little spicy. You see, actress and fashion designer Ashley Olsen and former professional cyclist Lance Armstrong had a bit of a fling in 2007, and very few people were on board with it. They started seeing each other a few weeks after Lance broke up with fashion designer Tori, and sources say that Ashley and Lance were infatuated with each other. The two were spotted on a date at the Rose Bar in the Gramercy Park Hotel, and they were seen macking on each other and then later leaving together in the early hours of the morning. Because there was a 15-year age difference, the people closest to Lance advised the cyclist to stop seeing Ashley over fears that this relationship and the large age difference would ruin his career. Ironic. Lance tried to fight for his infatuation with Ashley, but things just ended up fizzling out a couple months later.
At number 3, Cassie David. Pete Davidson's relationship with Cassie David, the daughter of comedian Larry David, was Pete's first high-profile long-term relationship. Cassie and Pete started seeing each other in May of 2016, and they went through a lot together. As any couple does, they shared their struggles, but eventually it got to the point where they just couldn't carry on in a healthy relationship, and so they broke up in May of 2018. In 2020, Cassie published a collection of essays titled No One Asked for This, where she opened up about her breakup with Pete, recalling the struggles that both of them had with their mental health during their relationship, and she also exposed the fact that she and Pete broke up the day before finding out that Pete and Ariana were together. The end of Cassie and Pete's relationship was pretty painful, as you could no doubt imagine, coming out of a 2-year-long relationship, but according to sources, they are friends now and that works for them. At number 2, Kate Beckinsale. What is your stance on rebounds after a relationship? Some people are for it, others are against it. Clearly, Pete Davidson isn't opposed to a rebound because shortly after calling it quits with Ariana Grande, Pete found himself in a fling with actress Kate Beckinsale. Not that there's anything wrong with a rebound, I mean, to each their own, do what you gotta do, but a lot of people had something to say about this short-lived romance between Kate and Pete. First of all, there was the timing. Many of Ariana's fans were pretty upset to see that Pete had moved on from Ariana so quickly. Pete and Kate were seen getting pretty close together in January 2019 when they were seen flirting at a Golden Globes after party. It was all speculation until they confirmed it a few weeks later when they were seen making out at a Rangers game. Sources said that this PDA was meant as an FU to Ariana. Now, on top of the fact that Kate and Pete got together so quickly after Ariana and Pete split, people also commented on their age difference. Kate and Pete had a 20-year age gap, and he was apparently only 3 years older than Kate's daughter. Either way, things didn't work out between them, and by the time April rolled around, the couple had called it quits. Explaining the breakup, one source said, quote, "Even though Kate has been in Hollywood for a long time, she struggled with the attention on her relationship with Pete. He lives his life with his heart on his sleeve." End quote. At number 10, Bridget Hall. As you will come to see, Leonardo DiCaprio has hooked up with a lot of celebrities over the years. This isn't even a complete list. He's known for being with models and a few actresses as well, so let's kick things off with Leo's fling with supermodel Bridget Hall. The London Sun reported several sightings of Leo and Bridget together back in 1994 in New York City. According to the supermodel, she and Leo were just friends, but rumors surrounding the pair say otherwise. According to others, Bridget and Leo had been hooking up, but apparently she wasn't happy about it. One source claimed that Bridget once said, quote, "He was lousy in bed, the sex was bad," end quote. According to the source, because it was so bad, she ended up dumping the actor because he was, quote, "disappointing." Having that rumor out there in the public must have sucked for Leo. We don't know if this is actually factual or not, since no one's actually confirmed that statement, but at least we know that this quote didn't hurt Leo's chances with the ladies because he still had a lot of luck judging by how many people are on this list. At number 9, Naomi Campbell. Another famous supermodel that Leonardo DiCaprio allegedly hooked up with is none other than Naomi Campbell. We know that Leo and Naomi are pretty close friends, but back in the 90s there was a rumor that the two of them had been hooking up on occasion. In 1995 it was reported that Leo and Naomi were a bit of a thing, but they ultimately decided in the end to keep things platonic. But that doesn't mean that they haven't spent any private time together since then. Since deciding to keep their friendship status as just friends, they've gone on vacations together with a group of their friends, they've hosted and attended each other's events, and there was even a funny moment when Leo photobombed Naomi's selfie with 50 Cent. You should know better than to photobomb a supermodel, Leo. Tisk tisk.
Before we carry on talking about people who've been with Leonardo DiCaprio, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one.
Coming in at number 8 is Kim Kardashian and Nick Cannon. I feel like I should have known about this one. Like it should have made more headlines or something. Unless it did and I just didn't see them. The two of them got together after Kim's whole sex tape thing, and apparently the sex tape is what ruined their little fling. They got together back in September 2006 and called off what they had going on a few months later in January 2007. You could kinda say they were dating, like they were an item. Nick calls Kim one of the nicest people you will ever meet, but told the Howard Stern show that they ended because she lied about her sex tape. He told the story saying, "This was my issue. We talked about this tape and she told me there was no tape. If she might have been honest with me, I might have tried to hold her down, but the fact she lied and told me there was no tape, no." He even went as far as saying that he thinks Kim had something to do with the tape's release, like it was actually planned. Regardless though, Nick doesn't have anything rude to say about her or their few months together, and Kim doesn't have anything to say about it at all. And at number 6, Jake Gyllenhaal. After the release of the 10-minute version of All Too Well, I think we all know there's crazy tension between Taylor and Jake Gyllenhaal. These two had a hot and heavy romance between October of 2010 and January of 2011. The pair also had an age gap of 9 years, which has raised some eyebrows. The romance was so intense that apparently Jake paid $160,000 just so he could fly her out on a private jet for a date. But then they split and she poured her heart out on the album Red, more specifically in the song All Too Well, when she gave details about their romance and the tension that led to their split. Some fans questioned how they could have had such a whirlwind romance if they only dated for a few months. But it's been widely rumored that Taylor actually lost her virginity to Jake, so that's why the relationship was filled with so many highs then lows when they split. Halfway number 5, Connor Kennedy. Taylor and Connor Kennedy had an intense summer fling in 2012 that started from July to October. They were first spotted together sharing a lunch in Mount Kisco, New York. Then throughout the rest of the summer, they were caught by paparazzi in tons of couple-y photos. It looked pretty serious at one point. Taylor even bought a $5 million house by his in Cape Cod. But apparently that was one of the things that started their downfall. One of Connor's close friends claimed, quote, "Connor liked Taylor, don't get me wrong, but this business of her buying a house on the Cape made him nervous." Although at this point things were still pretty good between them. But then a feud broke out. Apparently Connor's family accused Taylor of crashing one of their family weddings and making things very awkward for the couple getting married. Her reps denied the tension, but clearly things were on the rocks at that point because they broke up shortly after. And number 4, Harry Styles. This is probably Taylor's shortest relationship, but it was so passionate she basically wrote an entire album because of it. The pair dated from December of 2012 to January of 2013, and they were caught by paparazzi a few times out and about. But then almost as fast as it started, it was over. One source said they got into a huge fight while on vacation, and it led to Taylor leaving the vacation and Harry staying behind to let off some steam. Then she wrote the hit song I Knew You Were Trouble because of Harry, along with the album 1989, which includes many more songs believed to be about Harry, most notably the song Style, which is basically named after him. Although the pair are apparently on good terms now.
At number 3, Erin Heatherton. Leonardo DiCaprio isn't one to stay single for long, it seems, after seeing a bit of a pattern form throughout this list. Just after his little breakup with Blake Lively, Leo found himself a new partner, this time being with former Victoria's Secret supermodel Erin Heatherton. The two of them did a fair bit of traveling together, first being spotted touring the Vaucluse house in Sydney, Australia in December 2011. The couple was also spotted vacationing together in Mexico as well as Hawaii and Los Angeles. Leo and Erin were also seen spending time together in New York City as paparazzi spotted them riding bikes together in the city. They were going strong for about a year or so, but they ended up splitting up in 2012. Reports say that the couple called it quits because of Leo's schedule, as he was pretty preoccupied with filming for The Wolf of Wall Street.
In spot number 2 is Chelsea Handler and 50 Cent. When the hookup rumors started to spread back in 2010, I thought it was all just fake news. But then Chelsea told Oprah Winfrey that he was a sweetheart and was, I quote, "so cute, but that their fling wasn't anything serious." She later decided to air out all of her dirty laundry when she went on Howard Stern's morning show and spilled all the details. And when I say all, I mean all. She straight up talked about
about how the sex was. Chelsea says they started talking and flirting after he appeared on her show. There was a weekend when she was traveling to Nashville and he asked if he could meet her out there. She says, I quote, "We went out, we dated, we had sex, my friends all loved him, so we dated for a couple of months, but their breakup story was the juicy part. Turns out she was having his ex-girlfriend Sierra on her show and he called her the day before to tell her that Sierra wants to get back together with him and is upset about them dating." Chelsea tells the story saying, "So you're telling me this girl wants to get back together with you but she's upset that you're dating me, is what you're saying?" He's like, "Yeah, so I just want you to know when she comes. Then I called him the worst thing you could say to a black person short of calling him the N-word, something along the lines of being a gangster. And it was really, really offensive and I hung up and I've never spoken to him again." Coming from Chelsea though, that really doesn't surprise me. Starting off our list at number 10 is Ashton Kutcher and Rihanna. Let this one sink in for a minute. I'm a little weirded out. Maybe I'm just living under a rock, but I'm not sure how I missed this. Apparently they had an 8-week fling and it all started after pictures leaked of her leaving his pad in the middle of the night back in 2012. Sources say the two of them hit it off at a friend's party in December and began having a little casual fling after that. A photographer busted Riri as she drove up to his property with her security team around midnight one night and they caught pictures of her leaving around 4 a.m. A source told The Sun the flirting began as soon as Rihanna and Ashton met and swapped numbers. That moves on to text and arranging to meet. They snuck off to a Santa Monica hotel a few weeks ago. They are two single people having a fling, so they thought it would be best to meet in secret. I guess the hookups lasted for 8 weeks and nothing serious really came from it. It was really just a fling.
At number 8, Kristen Zhang. With so many celebrity relationships, we know that they can't always work out. Here's a relationship that didn't exactly pan out for Leonardo DiCaprio. Back in the 90s, Leonardo DiCaprio got into a relationship with model and actress Kristen Zhang. The couple started off pretty strong and dated for about 15 months between 1996 and 1997. This all occurred before he shot to fame after starring in Titanic. During their relationship, Leo even brought Kristen along as his date to his film Romeo and Juliet. Side note, that is an incredible film. Anyways, like all good things, this relationship had to come to an end, and the reason why it ended might surprise you. In an article published by the Daily News, it was reported that Kristen and Leo broke up because of the actor's immaturity. Kristen said that he and his friends needed to quote, "grow up," end quote. Now I'm not sure if there was any specific catalyst for saying that Leo was immature, like how he acted or something, but clearly this was perhaps a case of right person, wrong time. At number 7, Carly Aquilino. Up next, we have a little short-lived relationship from a few years back that you might not have known about. Two comedians in a relationship sounds like a hoot and a half, but in this case, things just didn't work out in the end. Carly Aquilino, known for being a cast member on Girl Code, dated Pete Davidson for almost a year back in 2015. There's not much to say about their relationship other than the fact that they were together. Not much information about their relationship is out there, but we do know that Pete seemed to have left a lasting impression on Carly because she did sort of comment on Pete's engagement to Ariana Grande when she posted a screenshot of a text message of someone reaching out to her after the engagement was announced. It isn't known why they broke up, they just did, but I'm sure that it isn't easy to see your ex engaged to someone else, right? Yeah. Before we continue talking about Pete Davidson's celebrity hookups and relationships, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel as well to see more videos like this one. At number 6, Kaia and Jordan Gerber. Back in 2019, Pete Davidson was seen getting pretty close to Sidney Crawford's daughter, Kaia Gerber. They were linked to each other in October of that year as they were seen grabbing dinner together, and Kaia was spotted wearing a necklace with the letter P charm on it. The pair also went on a romantic getaway in Miami together as well. But even though things looked good in the beginning, apparently not everyone approved of their relationship, especially Kaia's parents. According to sources, Kaia's parents hoped that her relationship with Pete would just fizzle out, and that's exactly what ended up happening. In January 2020, reports came out saying that the couple had split up, and this came about around the time that Pete was dealing with his mental health and checked into rehab. The following month, Pete officially confirmed that he and Kaia were no longer together, saying, quote, "She's very young and I'm going through a lot, and it was before I went to rehab. It just wasn't the right place or the right time at all." End quote. At number 5, Margaret Qualley. One of Pete's shorter relationships was that with actress Margaret Qualley. The two first started dating back in August of 2019, but they only lasted about 2 months together. Pete was seen in Venice with her that year, supporting Margaret as she promoted her film Seberg, which was screened at the Venice Film Festival. When they were spotted together in Italy, many people said that they looked to be really in love. One source commented on seeing the couple out in public saying, quote, "Pete and Margaret were standing and chatting and laughing. There wasn't much PDA, but he was in a good mood and the two of them were joking around." End quote. Now, things weren't really that serious between Margaret and Pete, and by the time fall came around, they had called it quits. They broke up in October of that year, but just a month prior, the actress's mom commented on her daughter's relationship with the comedian, saying, quote, "She has a beautiful relationship with him, but I don't want to step on her relationship too much. They have a nice relationship." End quote. This was really more of a summer fling than anything else, and shortly after these two ended their relationship, Pete was spotted with Kaia Gerber, whom I just told you guys about. Their relationship did end on good terms, and they just stayed friends after that. At number 4, Blake Lively. Before Blake Lively married the legendary Ryan Reynolds, she was involved in a bit of a flingy-wingy with Leonardo DiCaprio. There really wasn't much tea to this hookup, other than two adults just enjoying each other's company, but it was still noteworthy, so let me tell you guys about it. Back in 2011, Blake and Leo started making minor headlines after paparazzi caught the two actors getting cozy during the Cannes Film Festival back in 2011. Blake was hooking up with Leo, and sources caught some glimpses into their PDA-filled summer as they traveled together. They were seen canoodling in Italy, New York City, and LA as well, and as you can imagine, the paparazzi ate that up. They were so close back then that Blake even spent her birthday with Leo in Australia while he was filming The Great Gatsby. This whirlwind romance came to an end in October of that year though, with sources citing that the two of them decided to just remain friends.
Alright guys, at number 3 is Cameron Diaz and Tyrese. It happened back in 2007 when they were spotted making out at an LA club, and on top of that, she was at an Oscar party with him, which had the media going crazy. A source reported the makeout session saying, "They made out right in front of me on the dance floor." Tyrese was 28 years old and Cameron was 34. There really isn't much else to the story other than the fact that Cameron was simply enjoying her single status after she split with Justin Timberlake. Things seemed to get hot pretty quickly between the two of them, but the fire went out just as quick. It was very short-lived.
At number 2, Kelly Rohrbach. Next up in the history of Leonardo DiCaprio's flings, we have his relationship with Sports Illustrated model Kelly Rohrbach. Leo and Kelly got together in April of 2015, and a lot of people thought that things were getting pretty serious between the two of them. Throughout their time together, they spent time in New York City, the Hamptons, Saint-Tropez, and were even seen attending the US Open together in October of that year. As I mentioned, people thought that things were getting serious because it was rumored that Leo had proposed to Kelly, but that rumor turned out to be untrue. The couple split up in 2016, but many people think that both parties were pretty okay after the split because they moved on to bigger things, like Kelly being cast in the new Baywatch movie the same week that it was announced that they had broken up.
Number 10, Justin Timberlake and Elisha Wainwright. Justin Timberlake and Elisha Wainwright made headlines when they were spotted holding hands during a night out in New Orleans. The two actors were shooting the movie Palmer, which is a drama about an ex-college football star who returns home after being in prison. The co-stars were photographed together getting cozy at a bar in Louisiana, sitting at a table holding hands and talking to one another. The photos showed Justin, who didn't appear to be wearing his wedding ring, holding hands with the actress under a table and drinking together. At one point, Elisha could be seen resting her hand on the singer's knee, and while he was standing up, putting his arm around her waist. The photos caused a huge scandal because he's been married to Jessica Biel since 2012. Their relationship was really being tested, and Justin had to make a public statement the following month, apologizing for his strong lapse in judgment, and claimed that despite the photos, nothing happened between him and his co-star. Number 9, Dominic West and Lily James. The actors were at the height of scandal when they were photographed getting cozy in Rome, all while filming their new series of Pursuit of Love in 2020. The pictures show the stars kissing, sitting at a cafe, standing on the Spanish steps, and riding tandem on a scooter, looking very much to be on a date. Although Lily was single at the time, Dominic has been married to Catherine Fitzgerald for 10 years, and they have 4 children together. A source told The Sun that when Catherine saw the pictures, she was devastated and tried to get a hold of her husband, but he wasn't answering his phone. She was reportedly shocked by the whole thing because she didn't realize anything was going on. But only a few days later, there was a photo taken out the front of the couple's home home with a note saying, "Our marriage is strong and we're very much still together. Thank you." Since the incident, James has kept quiet and cancelled various interviews to promote her latest film Rebecca, which is probably a good decision considering the fact that both parties have not yet publicly talked about their affair since it occurred. Number 8. Chad Michael Murray and Paris Hilton. In 2003, Chad Michael Murray and Sophia Bush fell in love while filming the TV series One Tree Hill. 2 years later, they were married. However, they separated just 5 months later when rumors swirled that Chad had cheated on his wife with Paris Hilton, his co-star on the film House of Wax. During the time he and Paris both worked on the horror film together, they reportedly had an affair, according to Backstreet Boy Nick Carter, who was dating Paris at the time. But after separating, Chad and Sophia still had to keep working together for another 3 years on One Tree Hill. If that's not awkward, I don't know what is. It wasn't until 2011 that the actor decided to rethink the way in which he was living his whole life. Quote, "When you're young and you're thrown into something that I was definitely not ready for, I'm human and I screw up." But his ex-wife definitely took the whole affair much harder, and it's clear that his actions really affected her in the long term. In 2017, she wrote in Cosmopolitan that the scandal was a massive event in her life and the trauma of it was amplified by how public it became. She has also said that she feels the marriage was a joke and it did nothing but reduce her to a Hollywood statistic. Ouch.
At number 7, Helena Christensen. From doing my research for this list, I've come to learn that Leonardo DiCaprio is quite the party goer, or at least he definitely was when he was younger at the height of his career. He was known to go to parties and fraternize with various supermodels, and this is sort of how former Victoria's Secret model Helena Christensen came into the actor's life. Apparently, the Danish model was the first woman who partied with Leo when he shot to fame after the release of Titanic in 1997. According to sources, Leo and Helena had hooked up a couple times, but their relationship didn't really go anywhere past the bedroom. As fun as it may have been to be with this up-and-coming actor, Helena didn't do anything else with Leo and later got into a relationship with The Walking Dead star Norman Reedus, whom she was with for 5 years or so. At number 6, Gisele Bündchen. Other than short-lived relationships and little hookups here and there, Leo has had some on and off again relationships. One of these rather unstable relationships happened with supermodel Gisele Bündchen. This couple was on and off between 1999 and 2005, but obviously they called it quits after that. In an interview Gisele did with Vanity Fair in 2009, the supermodel opened up about her relationship with Leonardo, where she opened up about her feelings on the situation and how she felt about the actor, where she said, quote, "We know what we had. We were very young and we grew together in a lot of ways. We were not meant to be boyfriend and girlfriend, but I respect him enormously and wish him nothing but the best." End quote. Gisele later went on to marry NFL player Tom Brady, but she does have one special thing with Leonardo, and that is the title of the only woman the actor has taken to an award show besides his mother or his BFF Kate Winslet. At number 5, Bar Raffaelli. Following his relationship with Gisele Bündchen, Leonardo DiCaprio got into another relationship with the supermodel, surprise surprise. This time he started loving up on Victoria's Secret model Bar Raffaelli. The couple dated for quite a while, with their relationship spanning from 2005 to 2011. They did take a 6-month break back in 2009, but apparently it did them some good having time away from each other. After the couple got back together following this 6-month break, Bar talked about the experience in an interview. She told sources that she was very grateful for the time that they took apart, saying that she took the time to grow up and work on herself. That's actually a really positive thing to do, and I feel like that's a good way of working on a relationship, by working on yourself. Either way, for them, things didn't work out in the end as they broke up in 2011, and Bar went on to marry Israeli businessman Adi Ezra in 2015.
Number 3. Billy Crudup and Claire Danes. The massive scandal started in late 2003. Billy and his girlfriend of 8 years, Mary Louise Parker, who at the time was about 7 months pregnant with his son, broke up. The New York Post reported that the actor had moved on with his stage beauty co-star Claire Danes, who was only 24 at the time. In the summer of that year, the former co-stars had been spotted getting cozy all over New York City, and even had a very cute looking courtside date filled with PDA. But Billy wasn't the only cheater in that situation, as Claire also ended up breaking the heart of her longtime boyfriend Ben Lee to be with the actor. Their love affair didn't last long, however, and it's clear that all the heartbreak wasn't even worth it, because they ended up splitting up just 3 years later. Naturally, the ultra-private couple didn't discuss the reason behind their breakup, but the tabloids were happy to do so for them. Several magazines even claimed that Danes had left Billy for Hugh Dancy, but we'll never really know what happened. Years later, Claire said, quote, "I was just in love with him and needed to explore that. I was 24, I didn't quite know what those consequences would be." Number 2. Morena Baccarin and Ben McKenzie. The Homeland actress furiously denied rumors that she had been cheating on her husband at the time, Austin Chick. But when she got pregnant by her Gotham co-star Ben McKenzie, there was very little she could do to cover it up. And just like that, the cheating rumors were confirmed. Although the actress tried to shut down the allegations, according to a TMZ report, the divorce papers filed in 2015 by Austin show that he claimed that he was still sharing a bed with Morena when she conceived Mackenzie's baby. She did get a happy ending though, and eventually gave birth to Mackenzie's daughter Frances in March of 2016, just 2 weeks before her divorce from Austin was finalized, and went on to marry Mackenzie in June the following year. But did she at least feel a little bad for sleeping with her co-star while she was married? Well, not really. In fact, she told People magazine that working with him on Gotham was wonderful. Quote, "Ben's the sweetest. It's very nice to work with your significant other, especially when you're pregnant, because you know you'll get some extra TLC and get taken care of." I mean, yeah, I guess that sounds nice if you can ignore the question of how they met. And coming in at number 1, Meg Ryan and Russell Crowe. In the 90s, Meg Ryan had a squeaky clean image thanks to her role as a leading lady in many rom-coms like When Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle. But her reputation took a huge hit when it emerged that she cheated on her then husband, Dennis Quaid, with her co-star Russell Crowe. Meg and Dennis had been married for 9 years and already shared a son together when she met Russell on the set of the 2000 thriller Proof of Life, and the pair had instant chemistry. But the affair reportedly caused awkwardness amongst the cast and crew, as the actress didn't even appear on the press tour because she was so worried that they would be asking her about it. In fact, the film's director Taylor Hackford blamed the cheating scandal for the film being a flop at the box office. Meg was publicly shamed, especially after she and Dennis officially announced their separation, because it allegedly put too much strain on their marriage. When she began dating her co-star, it really changed the public's perception of her as the quirky rom-com lead. In fact, she told The Guardian in 2003, quote, "I was all over the tabloids and I walked through the lobby and the place stopped. People stopped talking and stared at me." Goes to show you how sensational the affair was at the time. Number 10. Will Smith and Margot Robbie. In 2013, Star magazine published a bombshell allegation that Will Smith was caught cheating with his co-star Margot Robbie when they worked together on the movie Focus. The report actually claimed that in photo booth pictures that they found and published on their cover, Will appeared to be shirtless and Margot lifted up her own shirt to reveal her lingerie. The magazine also claimed that after they pulled the curtain back to take the pictures, they were getting very touchy-feely with each other in the dark. The scandal was massive at the time because Will is married to Jada Pinkett Smith, and back then they had yet to admit to having an open relationship. But the rumors soon died down as E! News revealed that the pictures were commissioned by production and that the entire cast and crew saw them being taken. It also came out that Will and Margot are absolutely just friends and there was nothing else going on between them. Even Margot was quick to deny everything on Twitter. Quote, "There's absolutely no truth to the ridiculous rumor. It's disappointing that goofing around on set could be taken so out of context." Well, people do tend to jump to conclusions. Number 9. Leanne Rimes and Eddie Cibrian. This affair was not exactly unique. In fact, it's a story so common in Hollywood that it borders on cliche. The actors were co-stars who met on the set of a Lifetime movie called Northern Lights. They immediately hit it off and the flirting began. But the kicker was that they were both already married at the time to other people. But hey, in classic Hollywood fashion, they didn't let that stop them, and not long after meeting, they were photographed having dinner together, and the rumor mill did the rest. After extreme press coverage of the affair, both Leanne and Eddie decided to make it official and separated from their respective spouses to be with each other. They eventually ended up tying the knot in 2011, but the story doesn't entirely end there. A few years later, Eddie was caught cheating on Leanne at Wendy Williams' 50th birthday party, but she claims she's unfazed by the whole thing and doesn't seem to mind if he flirts with other women. You know what they say, sometimes how you get them is how you lose them too. Number 8. Helena Bonham Carter and Kenneth Branagh. The two are believed to have begun their secret relationship on the set of the film Frankenstein in 1994, which Kenneth played the lead role and Helena played Frankenstein's adopted sister, Elizabeth. At the time, he had been married to Emma Thompson for 8 years, who was adored by fans. The two were even dubbed the golden couple by the British press, and seemingly had the perfect perfect marriage, which is why the affair caused a massive scandal that rocked tabloids across the nation. They split in 1995, and years later, Emma has admitted that her tearful scenes in Love Actually were so persuasive because she had had her heart broken very badly by Kenneth. It was a little awkward because both actresses had to work together in the Harry Potter films, with Helena playing Bellatrix and Emma playing Professor Trelawney. But in 2013, she revealed that the two had made their peace years ago, and that the divorce was all blood under the bridge. But Emma even joked that she and her Harry Potter co-star were both slightly mad and a little bit fashion challenged, and she said, quote, "Perhaps that's why Ken loved us both." Number 7. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Jen and Brad got married in 2000 in a lavish Malibu wedding, and things were perfect for the Hollywood it couple until they suddenly announced their divorce in 2005. What happened exactly? Well, long story short is, Brad met Angelina for the first time on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and the rest is history. Apparently the movie was filled with so much romantic tension, it was impossible for the two stars not to fall for each other. I mean, Mr. and Mrs. Smith is probably the sexiest spy movie to ever exist, so it's easy to see how everything went down. But the problem was that Brad was still married to Jen. But he didn't let that stop him, and they allegedly still got together despite his marriage. To add insult to injury, he said about his marriage to Jen, quote, "I was trying to pretend the marriage was something that it wasn't. I'm satisfied with making true choices and finding the woman I love, Angie, and building a family that I love so much." That sounds pretty harsh, but it turned out that Brad and Angelina's relationship wasn't just a fling, and they actually went on to date for many years and had a large family before finally getting married in 2014. The love triangle was one of the biggest celebrity scandals of the early 2000s, and it still dominates the tabloids to this day. Number 6. Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. The actress and writer Carrie Fisher was never one to hold back when she had something to say, and in 2016 she shared a fascinating piece of history in her own memoir called The Princess Diarist. According to Carrie, she had a brief but very intense affair with her Star Wars co-star Harrison Ford while they were filming the movie in 1976. But what's really quite troubling is that People magazine reported that she was just 19 years old when the 3-month affair took place, while Harrison was 36 years old and married to his wife of 15 years, Mary Marquardt. To make matters worse, the couple also shared 2 kids together. In terms of sneaking around, Carrie actually said, quote, "It was Han and Leia during the week and Carrie and Harrison during the weekend." She also explained to The Guardian that the affair between them had eventually come down to unreciprocated love. She said that she'll always feel something for him. The Star Wars actress was so young at the time that they got together, and although she must have known it was wrong, it's hard to say that the blame rests completely on her. What's even sadder is that after Carrie died in 2016, Harrison never fully confessed to the affair, probably more out of shame for cheating on his wife. Number 5. Ewan McGregor and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. The co-stars brought their on-screen romance into the real world after working together on the FX series Fargo. The pair appeared on season 3 of the anthology crime drama, which debuted in April of 2017. Only a month later, the actress announced on social media that she had split from her husband of 7 years, Riley Stearns. Following her separation, Winstead was spotted on a date, hooking up with McGregor in London, and cheating rumors were flying because although she was single, he was very much not. The train-spotting actor was still married to Eve Mavrakis at the time, with whom he shares 4 children. After the Emmy winner was spotted getting cozy with Winstead, fans began to wonder about the status of his marriage, but it wasn't until January of 2018 that his now ex-wife filed for divorce. But while the two managed to keep their romance relatively private, their relationship raised eyebrows even among their family members. In fact, in August of 2018, McGregor's daughter Clara had some strong feelings on the new relationship at the time. She took to Instagram to comment on a Mary Elizabeth Winstead fan page, quote, "Most beautiful and talented woman on earth? Oh man, y'all are delusional. This girl is a piece of trash." Wow. Number 4. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Although it's been over for decades, Nicole Kidman's marriage to Tom Cruise is still one of Hollywood's most talked about relationships. Cruise met Nicole Kidman on the set of the movie Days of Thunder, and the pair were instantly smitten with one another, and they soon started engaging in a torrid love affair. But at the time of meeting, you guessed it, the Top Gun actor was still married to Mimi Rogers, whom he wed in 1987. As it became clear that the affair was more than just a simple fling, Tom divorced his first wife in February of 1990, and less than 1 year later, he exchanged vows with Nicole in December of 1990. They even adopted 2 children, Isabella Jane and Connor Anthony, and eventually went on to make 2 more movies together as a couple. But as we all know, their marriage was far from perfect, and they ended up splitting a decade later in 2001. Looking back on the divorce, Nicole said, quote, "It took me a very long time to heal. It was a shock to my system. We were in a bubble, just the 2 of us. We became very dependent on one another." Hollywood romances have started on screen and bled into the real lives of the actors involved. The most iconic has to be that of Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. The 2 engaged in a scandalous affair after meeting on the set of To Have and Have Not back in 1944. Bacall was only 19 when she first met Bogart, who was already an acclaimed Hollywood star and 25 years older than her. But that wasn't the only issue. At the time, Bogart was married to actress Mayo Methot, but their relationship was reportedly falling apart. Bacall confessed in her 1978 memoir that there was no clap of thunder or lightning bolt moment when she first laid eyes on him in 1943, but the actors became close on the set when she was nervous about the production and turned to her co-star for support. Just 3 weeks into filming, the pair shared their first kiss in her dressing room after a day of filming, and he asked her for her phone number, which she famously scribbled on the back of a matchbook. After that, they began meeting in secret places and using their on-screen names to disguise their identities. Bogart eventually divorced his wife in 1945 and married Bacall just 11 days later. Number 2. Sienna Miller and Daniel Craig. Scandal erupted in 2005 when Sienna Miller's confession of love to Daniel Craig was publicly broadcast to the world while she was still married to Jude Law. The 2 were co-stars in the 2004 film Layer Cake with Sienna, and at some point the 2 got a little bit closer than they did on screen. But how did the news of the affair get out? Well, that's the tricky part. A journalist hacked Daniel's voicemail, retrieving a message that came from Sienna's phone number. Both parties tried to discredit the audio tape at first, but when the hearing took place for the hacking trial, it was proven to be authentic. Sienna tried to play it off and told the court that she always ended phone calls saying "I love you," insisting it wasn't some huge declaration of love. She denied that the message meant she was in a relationship with Daniel, but she did admit to the court that they were briefly involved. Jude reportedly learned of his wife's affair from the newspaper story and called Daniel to confront him because the 2 used to be close friends. Talk about messy. And coming in at number 1, Meg Ryan and Russell Crowe. Number 1, John Malkovich and Michelle Pfeiffer. The legendary actor John Malkovich caused intense scandal both on and off the screen when it came to filming 1998's Dangerous Liaisons with his co-star Michelle Pfeiffer. At the time, the actor had been married to actress Glenn Headley for 6 years, but that completely fell apart in the midst of his affair with Michelle. Interestingly enough, even the film's director, Stephen Frears, said, quote, "Dangerous Liaisons is about betrayal and lies and relationships unraveling. It was one of those times where reality and art intersect. It was overwhelming to John. Even for a man who delights in bad behavior, that was a difficult time. Not to mention the fact that John's older brother, Danny, told Entertainment Weekly in 1993 that when the actor came home with Michelle, that was the happiest that he had ever seen him." But even though John and his ex-wife got divorced in 1988, the affair didn't last long either, and they reportedly broke up not long after. But apparently Malkovich took the breakup very hard and reportedly cried for a whole year. The 2 of them must have really had something special, because he told The Guardian in 2008, quote, "It's hard to believe Michelle Pfeiffer ever said hello to me. I mean, if you can forget about the fact that he cheated on his wife, it's still romantic the way he talks about Michelle."
At number 10, Nicole Kidman and Lenny Kravitz. I can't imagine how hard it would be to hide a relationship as a celebrity. Being a public figure like some of the stars on this list has its drawbacks because the public is always watching you at all times, so to hide your private life successfully seems like it would be a bit of a challenge. Some celebrities are able to do that pretty well, and Nicole Kidman and Lenny Kravitz are some of the best at hiding things because they were able to hide their pretty serious relationship back in the day. Nicole and Lenny seem like 2 people who wouldn't really run into each other, but apparently they were a lot closer than we thought. Shortly after Nicole divorced from her ex-husband Tom Cruise, Nicole was actually renting a place from Lenny Kravitz, and that's how they met. The two became pretty close and they eventually started seeing each other. Nicole later revealed that there was a time where she, Lenny, and Zoe Kravitz were, quote, all sort of living together. It wasn't until years later that the public found out just how serious Nicole and Lenny's relationship was, as Nicole once said in an interview that she was engaged to Lenny at one point. Obviously, things didn't quite work out, but the fact that they were able to hide a serious relationship, engagement, and breakup without anyone finding out is actually pretty impressive, and also explains why a lot of people had no clue about this celebrity hookup. At number 9, Zachary Quinto and Jonathan Groff. Raise your hand if you had no idea that Zachary Quinto and Jonathan Groff were once an item. This is another couple I had no idea about before researching this video, and I'm kind of sad that I missed out on it. Zachary and Jonathan were in a relationship for around a year or so, and they seem to have kept their love life pretty private. They didn't even go public with their breakup either, so there weren't really any juicy details as to what really happened. It's believed that work and distance is what made them grow apart and end things, but they seemingly ended things on pretty good terms with no hostility or negativity. A source close to the couple at the time confirmed the news of their split, saying, quote, Zach being far away and filming was not easy on them. They really loved each other, so it wasn't an easy split. It just ran its course. The couple went public with their relationship back in 2012 when Zachary did an interview with Out magazine about a year or so after he publicly came out as gay. Before I carry on with the list, I would like to take a moment to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also consider taking a moment to head on over to my gaming channel Viper Girl to check out what I've got going on over there, and maybe consider subscribing. At number 8, Drew Barrymore and Christian Bale. So it turns out that Hollywood stars Drew Barrymore and Christian Bale once had a tiny little fling of sorts, and basically no one knew about it. Back in 2012, Christian revealed in an interview with GQ Australia how he was once tied to Drew and that it did not end well. In the interview, Christian said that he once went on a date with the actress, and after their evening, she completely ghosted him. Going into detail about the ordeal, Christian said, quote, we went to see some bloody awful horror film and that was the end of it. She never called again. To make things a little juicier, Drew was later asked about her failed date with Christian in 2015 during an appearance on Watch What Happens Live, and host Andy Cohen asked why she ghosted the actor, to which she replied saying, quote, I don't know. He was super nice. I wasn't like super boy crazy. I had a lot of fish to fry. Like I had big problems in my world for many years. Like in good ways. Things you gotta overcome. Boys are like very secondary. I seriously wonder what would have happened had their date been successful. Do you think they would still be together?
Number 7, Abby Cornish and Ryan Philippe. The actor first met Reese Witherspoon while starring alongside her in the 1999 movie Cruel Intentions. They actually fell so in love with each other that they ended up getting married that same year. But all good things must come to an end, especially Hollywood romances. And in 2008, Ryan started to get closer to his new co-star, Australian actress Abby Cornish, while they were filming the movie Stop Loss. The two of them seemed to be so comfortable being seen in public together that they were eventually caught having dinner together in a Texas restaurant, despite the fact that there were some curtains around the table. They were also caught together again just outside of Ryan's apartment. The affair was so in your face, it really wasn't funny. But it wasn't until Reese discovered intimate messages back and forth that were being exchanged between the two of them on his phone. Then it was clear that after 7 years of marriage and 2 children, Reese was ready to call it quits with Ryan, and later went on to marry talent agent Jim Toth, whilst Ryan and Abby's love affair eventually lost its spark. Number 6, Kerry Russell and Matthew Rhys. The actors played secret KGB agents and love interests on the FX spy drama The Americans. The romance between the two sparked while on set, but there was just one problem. At the time, Kerry was still married to Shane Deary, with whom she had 2 kids. The two leads play like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and so naturally, many believe heavily denied it. When talking about their sex scenes, Matthew said, quote, we've all done a million of them in this crazy life we sign up for. He said that eventually the clinical element of it kicks in, which sort of takes away from that embarrassment. But it's obvious that there was really something going on, as the two of them were shopping for furniture together at Christmas in 2013. Not long after, Kerry parted ways with her now ex-husband. Unlike most cheating scandals though, this one seemed to turn out quite well, as Kerry, Matthew and Shane reportedly go on vacations together and frequently dine out as friends. Not only that, but in 2016, Carrie and Matthew welcomed their first child together and became a blended family. Number 5. Tori Spelling and Dean McDermott. The Beverly Hills 90210 star and her husband, Dean McDermott, have been making headlines since their scandalous start. The two actors met on the set of Lifetime's Mind Over Murder in 2005, only a year after Spelling married her first husband, Charlie Shanahan. Dean was also married at the time for more than a decade to Mary Jo Eustace, with whom he shares a son. Tori and Dean began cheating on their spouses the night they met. In fact, she wrote about the affair in her 2009 memoir, quote, "It was love at first sight. I fell so hard. Then I noticed he had a wedding ring. When someone asked, he pulled out photos of his children, and oh yeah, I had a husband too." Yeah, there's no making that sound better. She went on to say that the couple ended up spending the night together despite the fact that they were both married. And she knew it was meant to be because when she woke up next to Dean the following day, she said she had no regrets. The two married and went on to have 4 children together before yet another cheating scandal rocked their relationship in 2013, this time with Dean and the nanny. Number 4. Kate Hudson and Owen Wilson. The Hollywood stars had a massive cheating scandal while filming the 2006 comedy You, Me and Dupree, most likely because Kate was married to rock musician Chris Robinson for 6 years when she met Owen. The actors had a wild affair that lasted only 6 months, but it was definitely long enough to ruin Kate's relationship with her husband forever. Amid the rumors of infidelity, the Black Crowes singer ended up filing for divorce from Hudson in November 2006, citing irreconcilable differences and seeking joint custody of their then 2-year-old son Ryder. A month after the film opened in July, Kate and Owen were confirmed to be officially dating. But the affair didn't seem to stack up to anything, as the couple's relationship was short-lived, and they broke up less than a year later. As the public started to turn against the actress, she countered the speculation by telling Harper's Bazaar that's not what happened. But looking back at the 2006 press tour, it was pretty obvious that something was happening between them, because it got kind of inappropriate. Owen asked her about wearing a bikini in the film and whether she and her husband have ever had a third wheel experience. Number 3. Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. Many
Hilary Duff and Shia LaBeouf. During a 2011 interview, actor Shia LaBeouf revealed that he once went on a date with Lizzie McGuire star Hilary Duff, and he called it the worst date he's ever had. The actor shared some details of his horrible date with Hilary, saying that back in 2002, the pair went on a sushi date, and that the date was so incredibly bad that they never went on another one, and that he and Hilary never spoke again after that day. Shia didn't share any more details to paint a bigger picture of the day, but I can imagine that for them to never speak again, it must have been really terrible. At number 2, Kim Kardashian and Nick Lachey. Did you know that Kim Kardashian and Nick Lachey dated? Back in 2006, after splitting from his ex Jessica Simpson, Nick got his rebound game on with Kim K, who at the time was still a nobody in terms of fame. In an interview, Nick shared some details about his relationship with Kim Kardashian, where he claimed that Kim used him for fame because at this time, she was only known as Paris Hilton's assistant. During the interview, Nick said, quote, "Let's just say this. We went to a movie, no one followed us there. Somehow, mysteriously, when we left, there were 30 photographers waiting outside. There are certain ways to play this game, and some people play it well." In a way, Kim admitted that being linked to Nick worked well in terms of getting her notoriety, as she wrote in her 2010 book, Kardashian Confidential, that after dating Nick, paparazzi started calling her name when she was out. And finally, at number 1, Scarlett Johansson and Justin Timberlake. It is rumored that Scarlett Johansson and Justin Timberlake have gotten pretty close in the past and have hooked up in secret on a few occasions. Their secret relationship of sorts reportedly began after they worked together on Justin's music video for What Goes Around Comes Around, where Scarlett played Justin's love interest. Sources have also said that the pair got very close with each other back in 2011 while Justin was dating Jessica Biel. Some sources reported that after having a wild night on the town, party hopping in New York, Justin was seen headed straight for Scarlett's apartment. Now again, nothing is confirmed, but nothing's been denied either, so what do you guys think?